everyone, welcome back to another video from A.W.E. My name's Avi and today we're going to continue our animation lessons. Today's video is part 2 of this week's video on the coding part. In my previous video I showed you how to make your character jump up and down. In this video I'm going to show you how to add sound effects to your movement or whatever you want in general. Just add sound effects to your animation. How to add thoughts or speech bubbles to your character, and we're going to play around with these instructions and see what happens. So first, we're going to look at the sounds category. Over here, we've got playing a sound, starting a sound, stopping sounds, changing the pitch, which makes it seem higher pitch like this or lower pitch like this. And we can also change the volume, but we're going to leave that, which is how loud something sounds. We just want it to stay regular. We're going to also click over here. There's two sound tabs. One over here, which has all the instructions, and one up here, which has the actual sounds that we're going to have in our animation. So the default one that you'll have in your program is probably the meow. If you're also using this character, that's the way the program starts, is having this option over here. However, we want to add an additional sound effect, so I'm going to go to choose a sound. If you hover your mouse over the purple button, it'll play a preview of what that will sound like. I want a bouncing sound for when our character is moving around. So I'm going to scroll, or I could type it in over here, bounce. Actually, there is a boing sound effect. Could have that, or that. I'm going to do the smaller boing. And I've got that automatically loaded in over here. But if you want to record your own sounds, you can do that with your phone and download it to a computer or a microphone if you have one like this, and upload it to the program itself and use that for your animations. It's kind of cool because then you can make your character actually sound like yourself, or even practice making up different sound effects with your mouth. So we're going to go back to code over here and make sure you've clicked the sound over here, and make sure you have your sprite clicked so that all your normal instructions are showing up. And we're going to go to where we had our jump instructions from last time. We're going to do play sound until done. You might see play meow until done because that's the default one, but we're going to change it to boing by just clicking that arrow here after we dragged it away, and I'm going to place it inside of the code that we have over here and put it underneath all of these change Y by 20s. So now when I have started the animation by clicking the green flag and I press space, you're going to hear boing sound. You'll notice that until it's done, it won't start the next thing, and we don't really need that. So I'm just going to say start sound. Now, it's more smooth and our character doesn't hang in the air whenever I hit the space button. So now we've got a simple sound effect. Let's say I want my character to meow whenever I hit the start button, or whenever let's say I want my character to meow whenever I press the M key. Kind of like that. I'm going to show you how to do that with this instructions that I've got already here. That's how it's doing it right now. We're going to build that together. So I'm going to go to Control. Well, first I'm going to go to Events because that's our starting. And I'm going to click when green flag clicked. Set sound to, or set volume to 100%, then forever under control because it will always be checking if we've clicked the M key, and then if statement, which is also under control, M key pressed, so we go to sensing, that's where we tell what key is pressing, drag this into the box and change the space to all the way down here to M. And then we go back to sound, play sound, until done. I'm going to do meow. So drag that old one out of the way. Here's our new one. So whenever the green flag is clicked, it will play the meow sound whenever we hit N. So now let's start our animation over. We're moving around, bouncing. Now if I hit the M key, it meows. You can also make it quieter if I hit 50% over the volume. Watch this. Now, a little quieter. Make it really quiet if we change it to 20. Basically, this sets how loud it's going to be. So I'm going to set it back to 100. You have to restart it every time you change this number so that it saves. Because if I click the 20 now, it's not quieter. So I have to make sure I stop and restart it. Now it's quieter. Now let's move on to our looks option. Even though looks is what you do with your eyes, this is also our talking and speech bubble options. So we are going to look at the options here. We have say hello, we have thinking, and we also have next costumes. Costumes is how our character kind of changes what they're wearing, much like a costume, or the different movements that they're going to make. So if you watched Morgan's video, she showed you what different costumes are under the tab. And so you can see this is kind of like an animation of the cat moving. There's many options if you choose a sprite that's already built into this program from over here by my little webcam. There's a bunch of sprites that have their own costumes, and that's each little different frame of a moving picture over here. And when it moves, it changes the costume. So I'm going to show you how to change the costume to look like your character is moving instead of just sliding, because you'll notice when I put the character like this, he's not actually moving his body. I'm going to go back, select the top one. He's not actually moving his body when I click side to side. So I want to use the next costume option. So I have already some over here. And so what I did was I took from control, and we're going to go back to our movement instructions from the first video I did on animation with you guys. And I'm going to go to the repeat up here, and I change the number to 1, and that's in the control options. And then I'm going to go to looks and go to next costume. Make sure you've got the right sprite selected. And so now it looks the same. And so I'm going to drag this to over here. So anytime the left arrow is pressed, it's going to go to the next costume. But it's not doing it when I click the right arrow, and that's because we need it to also be over there. So I need, let's say I need a copy of code that I already have in the program. I'm going to right click it, duplicate. So now I have 2. So I'm going to put one over here under right arrow and another one under the left arrow instructions. So now I click left or right, our character looks like he's actually moving. Okay, so now we've got our movement animation. Now let's focus on making our character use speech bubbles or thought bubbles. First, you're going to have to grab a when green flag is clicked button. And then we are going to go to the looks option, and we're going to have say hello. Restart my animation and press the start button, and you see he's now saying hello, and it stays there while I'm moving my character. But let's say I only want him to say hello for a second, right? So I'm going to drag this back off because we're not going to use it, and I'm going to take this option up here, which is say hello for 2 seconds. So now whenever I start my animation, it's going to stay there for 2 seconds. But I think that's a little long, so we'll change it to 1. See, now it goes away on its own. Let's try a thought bubble. So let's go to think, and I'm going to use the one that doesn't go away, and I'm going to make it say, oh my gosh, I'm walking on 2 feet. That's pretty silly for a cat. And I'm gonna have that happen when he starts moving. So I'm going to drag this all the way to my code for movement, which is actually all the way at the beginning here. I can move it by clicking this bar all the way across. And I'm going to put it under here. So if I press the left arrow, oh my gosh, I'm walking on 2 feet. It's not going away. So I think what I will do is I have to get rid of that. And I will go back here and change it to this one. And oh my gosh, I'm walking on 2 feet. Change this to 1 second. Now, restart. Oh my gosh, I'm walking on 2 feet. But now, because it's doing this between every step, it's not really working very smoothly. So what I'm gonna do is actually take this out of the instructions. Because what it's doing is it's first doing this before it allows the program to run through anything else. So instead, I'm going to start another option, which is when green flags start, control do forever. Actually, forever, and then if key press, so under sensing. Actually, we want if blank or blank. Now, there isn't that, so what I'm gonna do is just do 2 of them. And I'll say if key pressed and if key pressed again, and change it to the left arrow or right arrow. So one is right and one is left, and then I'm going to duplicate this and put one here and one here. And actually, I'm going to change it to this is so fun. So now, start. Hello, this is so fun. Oh my gosh, I'm walking on 2 feet. This is so fun. So depending on which direction, it's going to say that. A little bouncy, but I haven't quite figured out how to change that. But feel free to play around with these controls and try and figure it out yourself. And maybe we can figure it out together in our next live session if you come on Tuesday or Thursday at 10 a.m. to the link on our website at aw-inc.org. For a little bonus fun, I thought we would make our character have a superpower, and we're going to go back to the look section and change the size of our character by pressing certain buttons. What if our character could shrink or grow? So what I did over here was I took the set size so that whenever our animation starts, we'll always start back at our regular size. Kind of like how we always start back at the starting point, we want our character to always go back to its original size. And then we're going to go to forever so that it's always checking if we're pressing a certain button. And then do if blank then blank, and if blank then blank again, put that underneath. And we're going to have it check if certain keys are being pressed. So I'm going to drag these both here and then click S because I think S is good for shrink. And we'll do G for grow. And then we're going to go back to looks and change size. And I'm going to drag it into both sections. So if I press S, I want our character to shrink. So I actually have to say -10. And I want my character to grow by 10, so I'm going to leave it at that. We don't have to add a minus there. So now, I'm going to get rid of these old ones here. And so now, if I press S, my character gets really small. And if I press G, my character gets really big. So now we've given our cat some superpowers. And he can talk, and he can bounce, even do some of these at the same time. Now we've got a bunch of different quills that we can play around with and even add other characters to our animation that might move while we're moving our main character. And you can combine this with Morgan's lessons and have maybe a paintbrush moving around or music in the background. She's going to show you how to do that in her video. So I recommend you watch all of these videos and ask us any questions you have in our live session. I hope you guys had a great time following along with our animation week. I look forward to seeing you guys in our next videos where we'll be going over how to make your own portfolio to showcase all the artwork you've been making throughout these couple weeks here with us. I hope you guys have a great rest of your summer. Thank you so much for following along. Take care.